the ABC News Magazine 2020. Tonight, who said the day will come when everyone in America will be famous for 15 minutes? Andy Warhol, and he's the American pop artist who's as famous as Campbell's Soup. 2020 takes you inside the Warhol art and fame machine and shows you the making of the portrait of Farrah Fawcett in U-Town's report on Andy Warhol.
Who is the best known and certainly the most controversial artist in America today? I'll give some hints. He painted dollar bills, Coke bottles, Marilyn Monroe, and this, a Campbell's soup can. Andy Warhol, that's who. He makes art out of everyday things, and he uses many media. You blink and he's doing something new. Lately, a major art opening and publication of his first book of photographs. And now, just out, another book called Popism, about his life and friends in the 60s. Well, tonight, 2020 looks into the weird world of Andy Warhol.
There we go. That's what I wanted. There we go. Super. There we go.
Although Andy Warhol's name is known around the world, few people have seen behind his public face. Criticized for being a commercial self-promoter, he remains a private person, a combination of publicity-shy, publicity-whirlwind. He uses his shyness to superb effect, making connections as he goes.
Oh, isn't that great? Yeah, I love it.
It's nice that you're visiting us here in Washington.
This is as big as Kissinger.
He gets to know everyone, despite the fact that he rarely talks and never commits himself.
Are you going to support Carter again this time?
Yes, yeah.
What, over Teddy Kennedy you'll support him?
I think it'd be great to do both.
Great to tell about both, you mean?
He always carries a camera and a tape recorder, and he listens. Quiet and inarticulate, Andy is content to be an observer.
I look shy, and I am shy. And my voice is cracking, shy.
Andy has always had a fan mentality. He worships stars.
Andy Warhol, I'm sure.
Gets to know them. In many cases, arranges to paint their portraits.
I asked him if he took my photograph, would he been painted, and you all saw him nod, yes.
With his distinctive, colorless face, Andy always stands out. But it's his philosophy that anyone can be famous for 15 minutes.
He's as famous as a rock and roll singer or as famous as a TV star. And he's the only artist ever in the history of America who's been able to do that. He's really elevated fame to a higher level. Fame is more famous now than it was before there was Andy. People can get more famous, and fame is more meaningful now. And although Andy, I'm sure, is sick of, hearing what he said, everyone's going to be famous for 15 minutes, you notice that Andy has been famous for 15 years.
Actually, it was 30 years ago when a skinny art student named Andy Warhol came to New York from Pittsburgh. He became a fashion illustrator, drawing shoes for Glamour, Vogue, and Harper's Bazaar. He was hardworking and dependable, and noticed for his originality and imagination. Determined to attract the attention of the serious art world, he experimented with painting dollar bills and newspaper headlines, even an electric chair. But it was his Campbell's soup cans that caught on everywhere. He painted them by hand, but wanted more of an assembly line effect, so he began using a camera and silk screening the photographs.
Andy was the first pop artist to use cans of soup, Brillo boxes, bottles of Coca-Cola, all kinds of things which ordinary people don't think of as being worthy of artistic treatment. And I think that Andy took these and somehow he made them into unforgettable images. He gave them a completely new look.
The silk screen, the repetitive image and personalities, had become his trademark. He cut out pictures of stars from magazines and made them distinctively his own. His studio was called The Factory, well named because Andy had a large staff of assistants and was cranking out canvases that by now were in huge demand. The Factory also became a center of underground movie making, and Andy was seen around town with the flamboyant stars of his movies, Ultraviolet, Viva, Hollywood Lawn. Kiss, one of 16 movies Andy made in 1 year, exemplifies the Warhol movie-making technique. Silent, black and white, unedited films that dwelt on a single theme. Some, like Sleep and Empire, lasted 6 hours, and often bored, outraged audiences demanded their money back. In 1968, Andy was more controversial than ever. There were assassinations in that violent year, Robert Kennedy and Martin Luther King. And Andy was nearly killed, shot by an actress who'd been in his movies. It took him a year to recover. By the 70s, his portraits were taking on a new look and commanding huge prices. $50,000 for a commissioned portrait. Money that allowed him to branch out into cable television, writing, and publishing, primarily a magazine called Interview.
Is this the way it's going to look?
Yeah, except the picture will
Be bigger. Oh, great. Oh, great. So, did you sell any ads today? You did?
After 10 years of losing money, the magazine is finally turning a profit. Andy is publisher of Interview. Bob Colacello is the editor.
When you're talking about Australia, and then they say, I want to go there, it sounds like the really new California.
Oh, I added that.
You mean you're putting words in my mouth, Bob?
To make you have something to say for a change.
Terrific.
Andy recently came out with his first book of photographs called Exposures and gave a party at the factory to celebrate its publication.
Oh, it's fun. It's fun, but everything looks so great.
The book is photographs of Andy's friends. His idea of a good picture? One of a famous person doing something unfamous. It's being in the right place at the wrong time. To promote it, Andy set off on a cross-country book signing tour. It's been said that Andy's best art is publicity.
Andy Warhol looks a scream, hang him on my wall. Andy Warhol, silver screen, can't tell them apart at all.
He's interested in absolutely everything. It's a wonderful kind of naivete. I mean, he just, watches things, and, which is, filling up his brain for his art.
Andy is the first real art celebrity since Picasso and Dali. For the second time in less than a decade, the Whitney Museum in New York has mounted a major exhibition of Warhol's portraits. Except for the giant Maos, these are paintings commissioned by rich and fashionable people. For Andy Warhol is now America's most sought-after portrait painter.
These are mostly portraits that I did when I traveled a lot. And so I sort of feel like I'm an old-fashioned American portrait painter. When I went to different cities for the magazine and for the movie and stuff, I never felt I knew what I was going to do there. And this way I took my Polaroid along, and then we got commissions to do pictures of people. So I'm just an old-fashioned artist.
People look at Andy Warhol's work and they say to themselves, or they say to their friends, I take photographs, I could do something like that. And I think what they leave out of consideration is an incredible amount of experience that lies behind the work, a simplicity that's only apparent. I think it's the training of the hand, the training of the eye, that's unlearnable except by instinct. And only 15, 20 artists in a generation have that instinct.
I don't consider it a feast of great painting. It's an interesting promotional event, but I've rather looked on Warhol's work that way from the beginning. He hasn't contributed much to the development of interesting things in American painting. The most difficult test that a painter can face is seeing a whole museum full of his own work. And then the thinness is very apparent. One or two seem amusing and original, but a gallery full is finally a big bore.
When asked to defend himself against his critics, he replied in his typical deadpan way.
Oh, I can't. They're right. Well, I try to make everybody look good. I think that's what life's all about. Maybe we can just can you put a little bit on your shoulders, some powder? Yeah.
Yes, I'm a very tan person.
Oh, I know. It just would make a better painting.
Farrah Fawcett, on a recent trip to New York, came to Andy's studio to have her portrait done.
I wanted to keep my hair kind of messy.
Oh, yeah, no, your hair is so beautiful. It is. No, it's really great.
First we were going to do it straight.
Oh, no, it looks just the way it is. It's great.
Farrah, somewhat nervous, told Andy that she'd studied his work as an art student and was eager to sit for him.
Let's try this camera. Oh, yeah, that's nice. Okay, that's great. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, that's great. Okay.
Warhol portraits begin with a series of Polaroids, snapshots which are blown up, printed on plastic sheets, and turned into silk screens. Using this method, Andy turns out as many as 25 commissioned portraits a year.
Maybe if a couple big smiles might, yeah, let's do the big smiles, and that's good. Okay, that's good.
After 40 pictures, Andy captured the look he was after. But his sessions often require as many as 300 shots.
Oh, really? Okay, well, we'll make them lighter then. Okay. So they all come out. I mean, there's no bad ones. Let's see what because we did 3/4 views, so let's see what the 3/4 views look like. This looks more like the other side, doesn't it? We'll blow them up and then see which one comes out the best.
And how do they blow up?
Well, we just, yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, they blow up really, we can get them this big.
2 weeks later, the enlargements were back, and Andy began to paint, a process which, up until now, he has never shown or talked about.
We send it out to a stat place, and they just enlarge it. Then I trace it on the canvas and then paint on the canvas. It's too blue.
Andy has always worked with assistants and usually paints 2 hours a day in the afternoon.
Oh, yeah, that's a good color. Yeah. Can we have a little brush? I'm always surprised that the people like the pictures because the color's never really the right color of the eye or the makeup. I mean, did you ever see an artist working on the floor? This is too hard.
It's clear that Andy's style has changed dramatically. From his hand-painted shoes, to multiple soup cans, to a technique that combines mass production with painting by hand. Farrah's portrait marks his style of today.
Let's see what it looks like. It's actually pretty, isn't it? It really is pretty. That's not so bad. I have to look at it, think about it some more.
There are really 3 Andy Warhols. The commercial illustrator of the 50s, the social commentator of the 60s, and the society artist of the 70s. Still, he defies any one label. What is clear is that Andy Warhol, whose own looks never change, is his own best work of art.
Well, I just like to have the same breakfast, have the same lunch, walk to work, answer the same phone calls, and do the same paintings, do the same thing every day.
That's 2020 for tonight. We're in touch, so you be in touch. I'm Hugh Downs. Good night.
This has been the ABC News Magazine 2020.